Hi, I'm Robert Noel. Welcome to Guitar Time. This lesson is on bending notes. So bending 101. Let's take some notes like, say we're in the key of E, okay? And if I'm in the key of E and I want to bend a note, well, what would be a good note to bend? Well, I would say I like to bend very much the minor third in the blues scale. And I like to bend sevens. I like to bend all intervals. They're all bendable. But do we bend a whole step? Do we bend a half step? Do we bend a quarter step? Not even, or half of a half step. Do we bend a step and a half? That would be crazy. 2 whole steps, like the Albert King. Well, it's possible, right? So, bending notes. Let's say I was doing a little riff here in E. Okay, and I want to go. Well, I've got that D. If I take that D, I just bent that D to E. Now I can slide to that E and hear where I've got to go. And I'm putting a vibrato on it. It makes it really nice. If I just bent it, no vibrato. Well, that works sometimes. Sometimes having a vibrato now that A, I'm pulling down. Sometimes we pull down with bends. Here's the minor third in E. So I bent that like a whole step. The 7. So to bend that second finger, I'd have to pull it down to bend it a whole step. So that's pretty wild. Okay, let me go to another key. Say we're in a C blues. Okay, C blues is happening. Well, here I'm going to take a note like the perfect fourth from the blues scale or from the minor or the major, whatever you're in. I'm going to take this perfect fourth. When I bend this note, here's my root. I have a root here, so there's the C's, right? So here's my perfect fourth. What did I bend to? I bent it a whole step to the perfect fifth. 1 whole step. Could I hit both of those notes together? And listen what happens. Maybe I could do that better down here for you. I got my, in the key of G, I got my perfect fifth and my fourth. I'm going to bend that fourth to the fifth. You heard the frequencies when I hit both of those strings. Till it flatlines, right? You can hear. Notice that when I'm bending, this is very, very important. So I want to always have my other finger supporting my whatever finger's bending. In this case, the third finger, when I'm grabbing and bending that fourth up to a fifth, right? Here's your perfect fifth, right? See, I went right to that. But I've got my other fingers here. I've got my second and my first finger, and the way I'm grabbing my guitar, it supports the power to bend that up a whole step easily. And I've gotten good at controlling that bend once I'm up. So I can stay up on that note I'm bending to. And vibrato. Wide, slow, medium, faster. Where am I bending to? I'm bending to the major third. Pull off. How about a minor third? Here's minor. That's a whole step. I'm bending it to the fourth. Here's a half. I chose the minor second. 5, 7, root, 7, and I'm bending that minor second to a major second. Here I'm bending a tritone to a fifth. I'm pulling up. So I'm pulling a half step. If I take this here, I'm going to, I have an option either to pull up or pull down. You heard me do, that's a fourth. That's just like me going half step. Here's a whole step. That's to a fifth. That's a half step. So we need to be mindful of half step bends and whole step bends. And there can be bigger bends. Here's a whole step. So that's root, minor third, to a fourth. Now I take that fourth and I go. So I took the fourth and I went all the way to a fifth. I did a two-step bend. There's the full step bend. I can actually start on that note. So that's 2 whole steps. It's huge. Albert King. And then bend a whole step. And then a half step. Some are little bends. Here's a bend from minor third. So bends have to go to the pitch. So if I did this, practice those unisons. You hear that? I'm using my second instead of my third. You can hear when they line up. So there's another thing I call increments. Well, increments are when we break the note down into, this is a full step. But if I did I'd like to say there's 10 increments. 1, this is a whole step. Minor third to perfect fourth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I look at 10 bends in that whole step. Increments. So you get that crying type when you use those micro bends. pulling down for this bend. The other thing is vibratos. Are you playing fast vibratos like a B.B. King? Or maybe you're doing more slower. I like to call them subtle. Like savoring vibratos. Like a fine wine. Very minute. All fingers. Fourth finger. Third finger. So we can use any finger to do a bend with. We can down pull the first finger. Up bends. That first finger bending up a whole step, that's a hard one to do. It's a little painful for most people. Step and a half bends, over bends. You know? That's an over bend. So, bends are great. Taking the major 7 there, that's kind of weird. Vibratos. It sounds so much nicer to have some kind of vibrato going instead of just plain notes. So whenever I end on a note, ending a phrase or a sentence, a musical sentence, I end on a note. And usually, in most cases, I like to put a vibrato on it. I like to call the faster ones, bum, it's like a singing vibrato. Yeah, yeah. And hit that 7, I'm vibratoing down on the minor third, down on the perfect 4th. But I go up on my bends on the B string and E string mostly. Up bend, up bend, up bend, up bend, up. Down bend, down vibrato. Up, down. Well, I hope this is a part 1 of bending notes for you. I hope this gets you started. Listen to other guitar players, how they bend, and emulate them. Work on it. There's just so much to bending, making bends. Albert King, the great big benders, okay?